Well, guys, welcome back to the 26th episode of the Untoldgems podcast. I'm here with Sasha and Charl as usual, and we have a special guest, Bob. Bob is a real estate agent as well as a real estate coach. And so we wanted to have him on. We've had a few real estate guys on, but not a real estate coach. We haven't had one of those yet. So we wanted to talk about Bob a little bit. So, Bob, introduce yourself and let us know what you do.
So my name is Bob. Again, thank you for the introduction. I've been in real estate for 10 years now.
Wow.
And mostly I help coaches and agencies, mostly agencies, scale their business to 5 to 7 digits through automation, communication skill, and introducing them to the digital world of like bringing leads via ads.
Okay, cool.
And
For people who don't know really like what specifically you can bring to them, like what do you do precisely? Because even I'm a bit confused. I see your posts, I see you're very active on social media, but it's like, what do you do precisely?
It varies for every client. Like, for example, right now I have a team in Vancouver that I really help through the organizing and onboarding of their team. So I'm scaling the skill set of their team. So you can be an agent. Everyone can be an agent. The barrier of entry is very low, but the skill set that you need to acquire to grow as a good agent is very hard, because it starts with communication, then automation, then onboarding, then training, then hiring. There's a lot that goes through it. So my offer is still being modified depending on the need, but in the near future, there's going to be something very big happening in Mexico and Montreal. So I'm very excited. But I help agents mostly scale their business. Agents.
So it's like real estate agents who, they're already real estate agents. You just help them learn the skills they need, I guess, to actually sell home.
Exactly. I show them and I implement systems for them.
So like a sales coach for real estate people.
Yeah, a sales coach would be mostly communication, which is, in my personal opinion, the first skill set that you need to acquire in order to become more proficient and add to your conversion rate as a broker. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So talk to us a bit about your portfolio. Like, do you currently own any real estate here in Canada? Do you have, I remember talking to you once, you were telling me you were looking into international real estate.
Yeah.
So talk to us a bit about your portfolio.
So I have invested with partners and I have my own real estate. The thing is, like, I'm not super comfortable, but it's I own real estate. I don't think I'm gonna buy real estate anywhere in the West because of the current position of the market, but mostly, like, I think land is the way to go for the near future. Well, for the future per se. Yeah.
Anywhere specifically?
I've been shopping a lot. I've been shopping since 2015. So I've looked into Australia, Europe, South Asia, like mostly everywhere in the planet.
Yeah.
One thing about me is I prefer investing with experience, traveling. So I lived for the last 5 years more outside of Canada than Montreal itself for multiple reasons. But it varies for every single individual. So my criteria are near an ocean, water that is potable. I need a good soil, because the ultimate end goal would be off grid. So I need good soil, a good ecosystem, and mostly there's micro stuff, but stuff like that.
Okay.
We can get into more details. Like, if you want to answer like a question answered really well, just tell me. And
like whatever you feel most comfortable speaking about.
For sure.
So do you have, like you were talking about land, is that what you're focusing on mainly now? You're buying land here in Montreal, or are you looking for land? Okay, so you're looking only internationally for land.
Only international. I don't believe in the growth of, I'm a very I'm very pessimistic about Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Canada as a whole, or just like where we are specifically?
Well, Canada as a whole, Quebec more precisely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Is there any reasons? Is it more like political or?
Multiple reasons. First of all, the ecosystem for me is not a match. I think we are Arab. I don't know if Charl, the wizard investor, is Asian or African.
Yeah.
Exactly. I need heat, man. I need heat. And not only that, like Quebec is on a financial system, like it's really hard to grow. There's a saying, you come in a millionaire, you get out broke in Quebec. Like it's
That's so sad.
yeah. Well, what can I say? Like that's there's a lot to it. So it would be like financial is not great. The growth potential has already peaked, in my personal opinion. And I have a lot of data, like a fuck ton of data that is not accessible to regular like people. Not because I'm a broker, but because I have access to promoters and I have like a pulse on what's going on in the market currently today.
Yeah. So I just want to give a bit of background. This might go as a shocker, but I agree with Bob. Essentially, just context, Bob. Like my job is like I'm a commercial real estate analyst, so a lot of the micro aspects that you talk about, where I say in the next 5 years you'll see a lot of cross banking, a lot of cross real estates.
Yeah.
Now you'll see cross banking with Quebec, Florida. So it'll be Quebec, Mexico, etc., etc., etc. So the move of buying land is that you want to buy land. If you're Canadian, you want to buy land. We want own real estate in Canada, we want own real estate in the US, we want own real estate in the Caribbean or in Mexico, and do cross-border banking so that your money keeps moving around depending on the geographical, political climax of each of these countries, and then go for it like that. So I just want to go back, because you mentioned it was since 2015, 2017 that you've been thinking about this. I've been just looking at buying land the last maybe year and a half. If you're talking about what was the turning point to what made you look at buying land, was it the economic platform with should be elected that you're like, okay, I need to leave, or was it other micro trends that you saw that made you look outside Canada?
Well, most of all, it was a gut feeling since I was like 10 years old. My parents are like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to live later on? It really started off where like I don't feel at home here. That's like the initial like tick, le catalyst. Afterwards, I think that land is ultimately, for me, again, this is very a unique scenario because for me, it's always been like an off-grid mentality. Like even if I made a buttload of money, I was living in a tent in Australia and fishing and riding my motorcycle. So it's I don't live by like look at me, I have money. I really live at like these are my values, this is my goals and what I live for. Concerning the land, it's something that once paid, it's done. Like there's no real cost to it, and there's surprisingly a lot of potential investment that you can do with land. So you can sell to a build, like if you want to buy a land, you can wait and sell to a builder, you can divide it, you can like create markets on it and have like there's multiple ways of monetizing land. But my goal is really an off-grid. It would be like really further out of the city. Yeah. So it's very unique. It's not like on the financial aspect, because financial for me is not through like you earn money, then you reinvest it in real estate to maximize your asset. You don't like it's harder and harder to actually make money. Like you don't start off as a 19-20-year-old anymore and buy a condo or a triplex at 200,000 at Trois-Rivières. That doesn't happen anymore because the growth already peaked, like my personal opinion. And also for example, like in Montreal, there was a lot of investors that were international. So now we can't invest. There's no more international investors coming in the country. It's going to be interesting. For me, it's going to be it's going to unfold. And I have a prediction, and think it's going to be correct, but again, who knows concerning like the Quebec real estate market.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're like very, or you seem at least a very like free spirited. You talk about living off grid. I know you a bit more than the others, and you seem very free spirited. What made you like this way, basically? Because we went to the same high school. I don't really remember you being this way, or maybe I didn't know you enough. So like, what happened? If you can talk about like your life a bit, that made you want to travel to these places and like live this type of lifestyle?
I was always like myself, I think, at least I hope. But everything that started was a breakup mostly. I was traveling with a friend in Croatia.
No way.
And,
So
we were doing, that was back in 2014. We were doing a Euro trip. But what I didn't know is I was fresh out of breakup. What I didn't know is the guy I was traveling with was hooking up with my ex. So I was like in the triangle of like a mega lie. Like I felt like my life has shattered. My reality has completely shifted. The people I trusted the most.
Yeah.
So especially that I'm a very like solo person. I respect my privacy a lot, and the people that come into my life more and more, like, you must be special. You must like really offer something to me. Sorry.
Okay, wait. So just as much as you're comfortable, obviously talking about this.
I'll go for it.
So how long were you with this person?
3 years.
3 years, and the guy was your best friend?
Or yeah, like best. In my head, we were presenting ourselves like, "Yo, he's my brother. Yo, what's up? This is X." I ain't gonna say no words, names, but yeah, that was the initiation.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I think it's a very good. Everything that happens in life, I think, happens for you. So it's like, I'm quite happy it happened because it allowed me to shift realities. So I then didn't know how to deal with it. Like, how the fuck do I deal with this type of?
How does anyone deal with that?
How do you deal with that? Again, everything is relative. My pain could be like a nick to a person.
Of course.
So I went. There's a place in where was it? It's north of Quebec. It's called Vipassana, Montenegro. It's not Montenegro. But yeah, I went to Vipassana, which is like a 10, 11, 12 days of silence. No, like, if you thought prison was bad, this is freaking horrible. So it's like 12 hours of meditation. You don't do eye contact. You can't read. You can't touch yourself. You sleep on like hard floors.
It's like a monk. Like, you're living like a monk.
You're living as a monk.
I've heard like there was a celebrity that did that once, and he was talking about it. So I think that's very interesting. That's like,
I've
done this is in Quebec.
This is in Quebec, and it's exactly in Montebello.
Okay.
It's in Montebello. So it's a 1 hour, 30 minutes, and I've done it in the mountains of Thailand border, like in the mountain of Thailand. I've done it in Montebello 2 times, and like, it's different practices for everything, but ultimately I'm free spirit, like whatever it is, because of this breakup. Ultimately,
I see.
Like, at least it helped me, like, it changed my life, and that's that. It's a very good experience.
It makes a bit more sense now, because like, I think a lot of people, when they go through a breakup, and we've talked about toxic relationships, I call it mixtape season. So basically, a lot of people after a relationship, like, they start doing things that are out of their normal like character. So it happened to me. It happened to a few people that I know. And it's basically like you're doing things just to learn how to cope with what has happened. And for me to hear that you took that path of like trying to do whatever it took to like figure yourself out and find out, like, because you have to build yourself back up after something like this happens. Yeah. So yeah, that's crazy. I want you to talk a bit more about that. Like, how was that? Was it 12 days you said?
So it's 10 days of silence, but there's 1 day at the end and 1 day in the beginning. So it's a total of 12 days, roughly.
Okay.
So the first it's like the original meditation form. It takes 4 days to actually learn and have the mental dexterity to acquire. So for 4 days, dude, we just concentrate on the breathing. Like, tu vois ma you see my mustache?
Mm-hmm.
We would concentrate on that part. And like you become so freaking acute with your senses. Like you feel the air is cold and then it's hot after it leaves your body.
Okay.
So the only reason we do this for 4 days is to then be able to really go into depth within the body. Like you feel everything that's going on, and you can feel your body talking to you, which is quite cool. But this is more of a like technical side of things. The real reason you would do that is to become mostly emotionless to whatever happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's nothing good, there's nothing bad, it simply is. And one story that I really liked about that place, it was there's a woman who lost a wallet with like 20 rupees inside of it, a beef jerky and a ring of her ex-husband, totaling cash $100. And the monkey took it and he ran away and stole it. And she started crying. And the village is like, we'll get your money back. So they gave her like 500, 600, 1,000, 10,000 rupees. It didn't work. Nothing worked. And ultimately, the reason why she was so in distress is because of the emotion attached to this object, which would be, let's say, a ring. So we tend to have, like, as human, which is completely normal and fine, a lot of emotions during a situation. And once you can detach yourself from it and see it on a brighter and larger frame, things don't really matter. Like, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is nothing fucking matters. Like, yeah.
No, I was watching like a video yesterday about people arguing about, like, they each had their stance and they were arguing, and both had solid arguments, but they were acting as if they knew like what they were actually talking about, like as if they were certain for a fact. And it's just funny because, like, yeah, it's like you're saying, at the end of the day, like, we're just basically little ants that don't know anything. We don't know
anything.
Like, and so yeah, but it's crazy that you've like talked to someone that's been on a journey like this. How much does it cost to do something like this?
I was gonna ask, like, what is it called? Like, what do you look for if you're interested in doing something like this?
It's free. So it works on donation. The whole places work on donation. So how it works is a detox mentally, a detox from nutrition also. So because I'm an experienced Vipassana like meditator, you would wake up at 4 a.m., you eat at 6, and the way you know what to do, it's simply with a ding, ding, oh shit, all right, it's 4. All right, it's 6. So I would eat at 6 a.m. and it's only vegan food, vegan, vegetarian. And at the rest of the day, like you have water and tea till the next morning. So
you eat 1 meal a day.
It would be 1 meal a day. If you're like it's your first time, you would have 2 meals, because it's actually a shock mentally and physically.
Oh, for sure.
It's to meditate 12 hours, 10 hours a day. Like, bro, if you did something in your life when you were 8 years old that you're ashamed of, trust me, it will come out. The real reason this thing is so powerful, it's you cannot escape your mind. Your mind never forget. It only ça refoule seulement. It's
suppresses.
It represses. It doesn't forget. We think we forgot because we don't think about it. But trust me, once you're in front of your own pain and your own mind, you have to face it. And ultimately, I think that's the strongest thing of this meditation is you face your fears, you face your lacking, and in no way, shape, or form you're perfect after that. You simply have a bit more knowledge of who you really are. and the lacunes que t'as,
Mm-hmm.
things that you're not as good as you thought you were.
So I'm guessing no cell phones, right? Nothing like that.
Bro. There's no, like if Sasha would go, there would be no man. If I go, there's no woman. Like we're actually separated. There's
But that was my next question. Is there, like, because you said there's food and stuff, where do you get the food? Is the food there, or are you all
it's
alone by
prepared.
yourself?
It's no, everything is prepared. You're literally, you have a Charl on and you're just surviving. You're straight up just surviving in your head. Everything is taken care of. There's the 6 a.m. food. If you miss it, there's no more food. You can't ask. You can't. It's done.
Wait, so is it like you're in a little room and then there's other people in their own little room too?
No, it's yeah. Actually, there's 3 to 4 people within a room, but again, nobody speaks within these rooms. So it's a very interesting dynamic, which I've never had. After the 10 days, I actually felt I knew these 3 dudes that were in my room.
That's crazy.
Like at one point, they come to me and you're like, "Yo, we heard you speak all the time during your sleep," and I'm like, "Fuck, my bad." It's interesting. It's such an interesting experience, and I would recommend anyone that is willing to go do something hard but ultimately fulfilling, because it changes you as a person.
Yeah, honestly, that sounds amazing. Like this sounds like something that, like, I've always wanted to go on like a yoga retreat or like those, like any type.
It ain't no yoga, boo boo. It ain't no yoga. You can't even do yoga. You can't even, like, you can't. I'm telling you, there's absolutely nothing you can do except being in your head.
So you just have to sit there basically and like practice breathing and like meditation.
Exactly. It's like,
yeah, that sounds like it'd be really, really, really hard.
it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
And I've done some hard shit, but this is like by far the hardest thing I've ever done. Yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy? They say, like, a lot of people say that the happiest people in the world are monks who like are able to separate their emotions from whatever they're doing, and like they meditate like a couple hours a day. Like though, like they've done studies, and these are the happiest people on the planet. You know, because they don't care about material items. Like I don't know, like that's always really intrigued me, because I feel like all of us are we're so like obsessed with social media and like news and money and all of these things. But I feel like it's those people that are just meditating every day and like have such simple lives that are actually the happiest ones.
Well, there's a dichotomy. There's like, where can or I'm homeless, and like where does it end, right? So yeah, they could be happy, but they have, like, I don't think, if that's your goal, cool. But some people I have a bigger purpose per se than simply meditating all my life.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So I think we can take like their principle, like the things that their values, their principles, and apply it to our daily lives. And like you're saying, that's something that changed your life, you know, and it helped you, you know, get over something. So I think just taking those principles or like those things that monks actually do and put it to your everyday life, I think that can help you a lot.
For sure.
How long ago was this that you did this?
2000. The second I got back in July. I got back in July, and actually the reason I knew all this was happening is my mom snitch. She went to a cafe and saw them together, and she's like, "Yo, is this normal?" And directly, I didn't know what to do, and I did it in December.
With your friend?
Yeah. To bring back the story, it was like I went back from the Euro trip in July, and afterwards, like the second I knew, I booked, because there's a waiting list. It's actually intense. There's a lot of people looking forward to it. And it was in December. Yeah, it's really nice because it's in the mountains, and you would walk outside in the forest, like north of Quebec. Quebec and Canada has beautiful sceneries. Yeah. So it was quite cool.
Okay, can you leave that room then, or no?
Yeah, you can leave that room.
Okay, you just can't talk.
You just can't talk. You can't masturbate. You can't play. You can't eye contact. You can't dance. You can't do anything. You can walk though. You can walk.
That's fire. No, it sounds really like, it sounds crazy, but like I didn't know that. First of all, I didn't know this was available here in Quebec where we are.
Yeah, it's actually the biggest one in North America.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit, that's fire. Yeah. So I know like 12 days. Maybe it doesn't sound a lot for some people. maybe for you it must have felt like an eternity.
It's an eternity, yeah.
Yeah, but so like, how you get back to normal life, or like how do you get back to society
Good
after
question.
you've done something like this?
Yeah, how do you transition back to real life? That's crazy.
It takes a few days actually, because even your senses, like, I don't know if you're allowed to say this. Have you ever done like drugs? Like,
yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So some drugs would enhance your senses. You would touch yourself and be, bro, this is amazing. It felt literally the same. So I remember walking in Jean Coutu. So I was driving and dropping off the people because I had a car, and I was dropping the people off, and then I would enter Jean Coutu, and bro, I was walking as if I was an alien because there was this music, basic Jean Coutu music playing, and I was like, wow, that is like, I remember this vividly because how powerful it was. Like, just people touching me, I was like, holy moly, like this is, you forget about all this, like you're deprived of sound, you're deprived of touch, and it takes a few days to actually like be able to socialize correctly.
That's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you weren't on drugs, it was literally because of how
it's natural drugs. It's natural drugs per se. Yeah.
No, but it's true. Like, imagine you have no more music playing all the time, no cars, no like sound. Because like if you live in the city, like we have sound every second
all the time. It's horrible.
You know, and imagine that's gone, and like you wouldn't think that it would affect you that much in 10 days, but that's crazy. Like I wouldn't think that in 10 days it would affect you that much to be like completely silent. But if you think about it, like it actually would, and it's true. Like even if you like think about it, when you're working, like we always have music playing. Like there's just always things going on. Our lives are so like fast, and like it's like, even me, I hate it. Like I hate living in the city so much.
Yeah. Well, move.
So then it's like, how did that lead you to? Because were you looking into being an entrepreneur before that, or was that something that happened afterwards?
It happened actually. Wait, let me just go into my time frame.
Yeah.
I was working at Brick, retail store, and I would sell appliances and TVs, right? Kid 20, 21. And we would work on commission. And one thing I've realized in my life, I've never worked like a 9 to 5, or at least physically was present for a 9 to 5. So I was a very good salesman. Therefore, I'm teaching it today. But it taught me that like time doesn't equal money, results equal money, because I would take days off. I would work a lot less. I would speak to 3-4 clients a day, but yet was in the top 15 of Quebec. So I'm like, okay, there's something there. Afterwards in CJEP, I couldn't sit down for shit. Like I first year, 13 de Cotter, I think, something horrible. Like I the reason was I was not in class.
13 is fire. I've never heard 13 before.
Wait,
I've never, same.
35?
So
like 35 is the max.
I think
13 is not 13 is not good.
Yeah, no, 13 is not present, my guy.
Yeah,
like
13 is like
I
really
wasn't
bad.
present, and but yet the thing is, I know I'm not dumb. So
yeah,
if ever I would sit down, I was doing Sciences Santé, and I almost finished, but couldn't for the death of me pass French. So I did chemistry.
Wait, you could pass chemistry and all
chemistry,
of that.
sciences des solutions, biology, all this thing. For me, it was actually interesting because I'm very analytical and I'm good with math. Once I was like, I had to sit down and do the work. It was all good. But in French, for me, I think I have a maybe dyslexia. Maybe I don't care to look for it or check for it. But ultimately, I left CJEP. I went into Realstate, and I've been doing this for 10 years. So as a kid, literally, you're making 175 your first year. It shifts your freaking, like, it teaches you a few things, like making a lot of money very young. And since then, I've never worked for anybody else than myself. And yeah, to now, like, 100K for me is like I would say a staple. Like whatever I would do, it needs to be like how to scale it to 100K like within months or weeks. Like how what's the metrics that I need to hit to reach that? So yeah, I think I'm an entrepreneur, and what's really cool is that I just started being an entrepreneur. So in my eyes, at least, like really entrepreneur. Like I literally invented my own job, and today I got offered to coach another agency. I'm like, what the hell? Like I just started in my eyes, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I wanted to ask you because I saw on your Instagram you have it's the Real Estate Academy. That's that's what you created. Like that's your own business.
That's the real. It's called. It's a word. It's a pun. So it's Realstate. It's not real estate.
You're right.
So it comes down to like the state of mind that you have to have in order to like just be good at what you do. But yeah, this is what I've done. To be frank, initially was a course that I wanted to sell. The course bring me a few hundred a month, but like ultimately it's the coaching that I offer that is the real breadwinning. And now the system that I'm creating are, my personal opinion, gonna like set me for life. So
yeah,
that's like, because the one-on-one is not really scalable. The one-to-many is more scalable, but it's like the systems that are behind, which are really hard to sell. But once you have this clientele base, the retention of it, the lifetime value of the customer is so much more interesting. Yes. So it's like, it's ultimately, bro, it's a process that you have to continuously grind. And as long as you don't quit, very cliche, and you keep putting the work, you'll end up like yielding the results. Like it's pretty cool.
I always say that like the only way to not succeed is by quitting. Like if you just keep doing it, you're gonna be successful one day, you know. But
that's it.
What got you into, like, when did you realize that people needed help learning these skills? Like what made you start to offer this as a product to people or like a service to people? Like what was the first thing that you, or what got you into that basically?
Okay, ultimately, I think there's multiple skill set that you need to hit. And it was actually on the field. So I was selling, I was communicating with people, and I'm like, yo, these guys don't know how to talk. They don't know how to sell. Yes, hello. Is this still on the market? Okay. I'm like, bro, you're the broker, man. Like, come on now. You have to make the deal. You're a professional. These people are like they're doing their biggest transaction, and it's with you. So I saw a need in the market, and then that was again the first degree. Afterwards, you're like, okay, how can you generate like a constant flow of leads? And I started Facebook ads in 2018, 19, 20, when a lead cost for a house like was 80 cents, $1.20, $2. So the conversion, like the ROI was phenomenal. So you would spend $100 to $150 and go make 5K. So I'm like, okay, this is literally the best invention ever.
Yeah.
So I then productized this information, and like that was the beginning of the Realstate Academy. When I myself taught, the only thing you need as a broker is the inflow of leads. But I was humbled by myself and realized like, okay, why am I giving leads to like me or another guy? I would close per se 30% of the leads I would get. He would close 5%. What is the issue? We have the same leads, or at least the same numbers coming in. So it would come down to the skill set, it comes down to the nurturing, so the systems behind it. And then I'm like, okay, I'll build an all-in-one system, like a one-stop shop that like it's just, it makes sense for a broker to go with, because it's actually because when something is so easily attainable, everyone can be a broker. It comes with a lot of like different style of people. Mm-hmm. So
that was my next question, because I know there's a lot of people, and I think ever since COVID, the hustle went from being a barber to being a realtor.
That's it.
So for me, I always tell people, before you pick a realtor, you have to interview 3, 4, 5,
sure,
and actually have realtors for every type of category. I have one for investment properties, I have one for residential, commercial, and for land value. Can you talk about what skills or what should someone look at a realtor when first interviewing with them to know, okay, this is the person I'm going to pick for one of the biggest transactions of my life?
First of all, I think it's simply experience. But not only, it varies a lot. There's multiple answers. Are they ultimately going to help you? Are they knowledgeable? Because you can be 18 and come out and be a realtor, right? So do they have knowledge? Do you trust them? Are you sure that when there is going to be a pickle, that they will get the shit done? Because I'm pretty sure, Charl, you've done transactions, and it doesn't go really easy. Like, it doesn't exist an easy real estate deal. It might be easier, but it's never easy. So it's like, who do I trust and I know, like, will get the shit done? Because ultimately, if it's a realtor, it could be a surgeon. Like, you need someone that understands your needs, and it's not like, okay, we're going to do this. No. It's like, what is important for you to do? And then go from there. I think experience, trust, and a surprisingly gut feeling. Like, sometimes your gut feeling is going to say, like, yo, this guy is looking, I have $1 signs on my face. I'm good, brother. Like, it varies. Because, yeah, I think experience, yeah. And like trustworthiness. Knowledge.
No, I agree with that. I think especially experience for what you want to do. I think a lot of people, well, I can't blame them. They'll take a referral from someone, say this person helped me, but telling the broker exactly what are your goals in the short term and long term, essentially is probably one of the biggest things you can do, because it has to be collective. If you want to go into commercial, but the realtor wants to stay residential, there's a lack there. So I think, like you say, experience, but especially experience what you're trying to achieve, or if somebody's like, okay, well, we have the same end goal, and if you're in a relatively similar age, then there's somebody you could go with as well.
Integrity. I forgot that one. You have to be you have to have integrity. Because I've refused deals multiple times because it wasn't the right move for the person. Like, I want to sell my house. All right, let's look at it. What are your goals? Okay, I'm thinking of buying. Okay, do you have equity? Yes, I have equity. No. Well, I don't think it's the right move to sell. Let's move that dollar, rent your house. And by being like, just offering value to someone, ultimately, I think if you offer value and the right knowledge and you're not greedy, you're going to make 10 times more money, because there's multiple ways of acquiring clientele, but the one that compounds the most and is exponential, the only one that is exponential is referrals. So, like, as long as you're doing a good job while doing the job, you'll make a buttload of money. Yeah.
It's true, because like it's called word to mouth, I think. Word to mouth. Yeah. Like, when people refer you, it's like one of the best ways to have a good reputation, because if someone just like sees you on social media or something, versus if their like brother told them about you, they're gonna trust someone they know who referred you, rather than just like randomly seeing your page. So that's really, really true. But I wanted to ask about like the people that that can take your services. So you said that you've worked, or like you've like signed a contract with agencies to, like, is it to teach the real estate agents who work for that agency?
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. And you also offer like private services for like real estate agents who are just doing their own thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I'm fully booked as of Thursday. Like, I can't take any more clients, because it's like, if I onboard more, my quality of service goes down.
For sure.
But I have something huge coming in, so that I'm very excited for the Montreal and Mexican like real estate agents. So this is gonna be like something really cool that I'm excited. But yeah, it's gonna be like everything that I teach and coach, like with an agency particularly. So people that would want to work with me or have all these services and classes, they can just join me in my team. And yeah.
So I want to this part's gonna be for me. I want to talk about the Mexican market, because I know a lot of developments are coming in, a lot of the big multinational investors are coming in, and I'm looking to look at the land per se. But if you talk about your experience, from what made you select Mexico? I know that is very popular right now. There's a lot of investments coming in, but what made you zone in on Mexico, and what do you see for the future as well in Mexico?
All right. So when we say Mexico, people usually tend to see Playa del Carmen, Cancun, Tulum, or Bacalar, because this is Quintana Roo, which is like it's really like touristic. And one thing I've learned throughout my life is once something becomes accessible, a lot more people come, which is like the logic. So again, it comes down to what are your goals? Are your goals to live there? Okay, let's not look at these places because this is not Mexico. This is like a bootleg version of Miami. So
yeah,
it really comes down to like, again, what are your goals? Not for real. Like
I'm gonna use that.
I've been to Playa a fuck ton of time. Like I was actually thinking of buying there, but then I'm like, okay, might as well buy in Oaxaca, which is closer to heart. Anywho, what would be your goal for you? Would it be to short-term rental? Would it be short-term rental? I haven't looked into, again, Quintana Roo, which is the place itself, but there is opportunity. The thing with Mexico is, or any Latin American country, is you need a cash. You need a lot of cash. So the beauty about it, you can use some equity of your homes or your plexes here to then buy in Mexico or any other country. And then it will generate more money. So, for example, you can build a duplex for 300,000 US, and it will generate you, the two of them, roughly 2,000 per month, 3,000 per month, 4,000 depending on the season.
Mm-hmm.
So it
you
varies.
You would build them there, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So I have a lot of friends in real estate there, and what they did, I fucking was blind. Like I was more traveling than investing back then. I have a friend who bought a villa at 320,000 with a partner, and he makes $15,000 per month.
That's
so I'm
crazy.
like, I went to the promoter, and he's like, it's 410,000 now. And that was like a few months, actually a few freaking weeks from it. So I'm like, okay, crap. Like the thing is, I think I'll call you wizard, bro. The thing with is like the real profit is usually when you buy, because again, depending on what you want, is it a cash flow? Is it equity? What are you looking for? So I think all this place are done. But if you're looking into other places like Oaxaca, Chacagua, places that are more south west, there's more opportunity there. Again, but with opportunity comes risk.
Yeah, there you go. Because I think that, and we're seeing it in the Caribbean, I think there's going to be a lot of, I won't say Americanized, but a lot of these regions are rich in culture are going to be Americanized. And you're going to see a lot of expensive people building a lot of vacation villas. And like you said, the bootleg Miami, I think we're just going to see that all over the place. So there's an opportunity for people to buy land and build their own villas and just do Airbnb on it. Now, the question that comes of it is that do you want to pay top dollars in a market that's already saturated, or do you want to go further out and risk being in we'll call it in sketchy neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Have your money worth for it, but you might not have the touristic attraction you would have had if you paid top dollars. So those are the questions that have to be asked. Those are the questions I'm trying to have the answers for. But those are the types of things that people have to look at, especially if you don't have the money to buy in Canada. If you live out west in Calgary or in Vancouver, there's opportunities outside of Canada to buy cheap under $400,000 and actually build for cash flow.
For sure. There's Eastern Europe. Like I have a friend who bought a condo in Romania to live there because he, like, whenever the Shintemic, the whatever it's called, the last 2 years, 3 years was made, like a lot, it hit a lot of core values, I think, for a lot of people, and your reality shifted. Canada was the place you wanted to live all your life. Now you're thinking of moving, but the thing with moving elsewhere in the world is you need a lot of cash. we are very blessed to be able to buy at using debt. Again, now I wouldn't say it would be the best time, but like, I don't know if you guys remember, but I made a precise video that maybe a week after COVID hit. I studied, I took time to really do my homework, and I said like, okay, for 2 months there was no transaction because like brokers couldn't work. But after that, I said to every single person I know, guys, jump. Like, bro, there was houses for 300,000 detached brick in Laval, like Chomedy, the bungalows. I'm like 300,000, 2% interest rate, 1.5.
Yeah.
What are you like? What are you looking for? Like, what are you scared of, man? Like, who the fuck? Anyways, if you needed to leave the country and you don't have equity, it's not as easy. But if you were lucky enough to buy in any prior dates to 2020, I want to precise, even 2021. If you bought in 2021, you might be screwed. Like, it's gonna be it's gonna be hard for the investor who bought in 21. But if you prior to that bought in, you can use equity, you can sell, you can use that money.
Can you explain that? Because I think you're gonna freak a lot of people out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you explain why?
Okay, so there's a lot of things that people are not seeing. They're walking with these muzzles and they're like, interest rate, oh my God, so high. Cool, interest rates are high. And they are, there are a lot of talking that these interest rates are gonna rise again. Cool. But what we don't realize is like 1% interest rate on 500,000 debt or 400,000 debt is hundreds of dollars per month, thousands of dollars per year. That is one issue. Another issue, I don't know if like you guys own real estate, but if you go on Registre Foncier or Évaluation de Montréal, every single house in Montreal, in Laval, has a 30% markup from last year evaluation.
Yeah,
what does that mean? What does that mean? So if ever, my name is John. John bought a house at 450,000. He was approved at 450,000. He's already here, man. He's choking, but he has a house. He owns a house. Really, it's the bank. So now John is like, crap. I was advised to use variable. If you're variable, I'm sorry to say, like, sell the house ASAP.
Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean?
There's
variable interest rate.
Yeah, it's variable interest rate. Okay, let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. But you had a budget for $2,000. You have $100 left at the end of the month. Interest rates, not interest rates. The evaluation comes in and asks you like, oh, I need another $4,000 from you at the end of the year because the prices has risen. So you're like, oh shit, I don't have that $4,000. That's like one thing. You might scramble and end up paying it. So, and not only that, if your term is ending, or if you took variable, or if you're on a marge de crédit, or whatever it is that is not fixed, I think like there's going to be a lot of issue within the upcoming months and years.
Okay, so variable, it goes on whatever the variable interest rate is at the moment, and like who decides the number? The government?
The Bank of Canada.
Yeah.
That's
the Bank of Canada, that the bank adds whatever interest rate they want.
Okay, so it's not fixed. So you're like, it can fluctuate with time or whatever.
Exactly.
That's what it means?
But
okay.
So you have the prime rate, which is the Bank of Canada, plus you have the interest rate, which is the bank's rate, which is your actual interest rate that you have calculated. So a lot of people start out at 2%.
Why would someone choose the variable?
Because
for the last 20 years, it was advantages. For the last 20 years, it was really like you would always win because back in the 90s, the interest rate was 18%, 16%, 14, 12, blah, blah, blah. And surprisingly, I think people weren't really well advised because I know that the brokers at the banks were incentivized to push the variable when it was at 1.59, 2%. They were pushed. They had an extra $500 coming into their bank account. I told every single, I used to sell in that time. I told every single client, Don't even touch. Don't be my client if you took variable, because it's the dumbest thing. How low can it go? You're already at 1.5. Do you want it to be -2? They want you to, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So take fix, be safe, better be safe than sorry. And may God behold, surprise, surprise, within a few weeks, a few months, the shift of the market happened. What is going to happen? I hope for the best for every single person. Like, but I think it's going to be very gruesome. Like it.
Yeah, 100%. And like to summarize people, you want to have cash reserves at this time because, like you saw, a lot of people are up to the next overestimate how much money they had. That's when the economy was doing well because of the stimulus. That's when interest rates were at 2%, and that's when your car note was under $500. Now, if your car note's over $500, you lost your job, and interest rates are at 4%, 6%. Whoever has to refinance that house now, you're not looking to pay 1,400. You're looking at pay at 2,100, 2,300. So a lot of people who were already up to their budget are gonna either have to sell the house to recuperate whatever cost they could have, or have to file for bankruptcy. So if you have a lot of cash reserves, that's when you go and buy and try to recuperate some of these assets that were already overvalued. So you could sell paying $100 or 100% of the price, you pay potentially $60, 60 cents on the dollar.
Literally.
But you have to be patient, and there's no timing the market. So that's where having cash reserve, but also staying active comes into play. Because, like we said in the previous episode, it's not like 2008 when we had so much supply that there was a whole neighborhood that was gonna go underwater. Now in Canada, especially, we're not building enough homes fast enough for everybody to live in, so we won't see a dramatic wash. And I think that's, I might be wrong. I think the government might try to do another stimulus to give people another chance to recuperate a home, but we'll see.
Interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
But that's the time a lot of people are waiting for, to see how much or how down, especially residential prices, are gonna go down to. So we might have an equilibrium where there is a balance, but there's a lot of opportunities to come for people who are well positioned, and that's the time where, like Bob said, you want to have a couple partners. You might not have all the money, but if you're 5, 6 people, you all big at $10,000, you might be able to buy a couple of triplexes.
For sure.
So that's the time where you have to be strategic.
For sure. And it's hard to be strategic. Like, you really have to be patient. Like, you really, like, anyways. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be very interesting. I think it's gonna be hard for a fuck ton of people. Yeah.
But you see, that's the time I've been waiting, because I'll predict the date. September 2023 is the time that you're gonna see a correction in the market. That's the time I have.
Correction? Like up or down?
Why we're gonna start seeing? Yeah, we're gonna see people foreclosure and everything like that. Because right now we're not at a point where jobs are like being let go. But I'll tell you this: if you look at the big companies, I'll say outside, like the biggest company, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, if they're not looking to hire people, what tells you that the rest of the economy is going to look to hire people afterwards? So that's where a lot of the jobs that are automated, cash register, accounting, call centers, all these jobs that are able to be automated are gone, wiped out the economy. So it's going to be hard for a lot of people to find a job that pays the same amount, or you'll have to take on, well, we live in a free gig economy, but you have to pick up a lot of multiple jobs at the same time to just make a slimmer amount that you made before. So it's going to be a very interesting time. So,
and as you
now,
said,
if I have one advice, is pay off your debt, try to have as much cash reserves to weather the storm, and then that's it.
Live under your means. Like, live under your means, man. I don't know. People usually go with ego. Hey, man, I got this well, Rolex is actually a good investment, but hey, I got this new car, I got this, I got that. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. A lot of people are going to be put back in place. Again, not super happy about it. But you talked about Apple and not hiring new people. Also, Apple and all these big companies, what do they have? Their biggest amount of cash lump sum that they ever had. They have cash on hand. Warren Buffett, cash on hand. Everyone has a butt ton of cash right now because they have their experience a lot more than me. I don't know shit, but like, there's going to be a time where the rich is going to be like astronomically richer and the poor are going to be left to the government. I think you have to be attached to the government.
But let me know what you think about this. I tell people they have 3 years to buy in Canada, or I'll say in Laval, Montreal, before it's game over. Because I think that a lot of hedge funds, a lot of banks are putting a lot of money to build these high-rise condos. And we're just going to be living tenants where you're going to be paid $2,000. We're going to go back to a time like in New York, where if you do not live in a rich neighborhood to buy a home, you're just going to be renting for the rest of your life. So I think we're going to go, I'm not saying Toronto prices, but I think we'll go to a place in Toronto where you'll see a bunch of condos going up near the highways, and they're just going to be for over $2,000 a month, and you'll have 2, 3, 4 roommates, and you'll just live like that. So I think the next 2-3 years might be the most crucial years to actually look to buy something before it gets out of touch.
That's it. I feel like if you were waiting for prices, because during COVID, some people were like, "Oh, I'm still gonna wait," and like in 2018, I'm still gonna wait, and people are always gonna wait. But if finally the day come, I think would be interesting to purchase if again your goal is to stay in Canada and to grow a family. Like you have to see this as a long term. Also, it's not so out of reach that Montreal, Toronto, Canada itself becomes like a renter land. Let's talk about Sweden, where the renter versus owner is like 95% of people are renting because it's inaccessible. And right now, a team that I'm coaching in Victoria, British Columbia, it's inaccessible to buy. So it's like the only way to buy is using the equity of your parents. So the first-time home buyers, even if you're making $250,000, $300,000 as a couple, it's kind of sad, but you're not even able to buy a home. So what do? You use the equity of like the parents. So that becomes really interesting. And like it shows the advantages of like first generation people that come to Canada, or like my parents are immigrant. If my parents were born here, I would be in a different like wealth bracket, in my personal opinion. So some people are always going to be okay because boomers have worldwide the most assets, like locked in assets, physical assets. Boomer have it all. Like, so yeah. People, if they want to live, they need to do it now. You're right. Like they need to do it now. They need to be smart about it. But I wouldn't buy now. I would buy like, again, I would step out. You cannot time the market, but for this one in particular, I would wait a bit because there's still no foreclosure and by banks. And I look young, but I've still been doing this since 2013. So it's like, I've seen still some flux, and it's part of a healthy market that people go bankrupt. It's sad to say, but it's part of the market. So once we see these, I think there's going to be a peak, they're going to be bought up, and we're going to go back into like a regular market-ish. It's going to be very interesting.
Because I don't think people understand, but you used to be able to walk into a bank and near the door you'll have I'll say foreclosed sign, and you'll see all the foreclosures on a piece of paper. So I don't think we'll ever get to that point back yet. But I do think that, especially for people who want to buy, I think that we spoke about it. Like you have to look to buy as a family unit, be 2-4. I don't care how you divide the down payment, but like Bob said, a lot of these people, if you look like, I'll say like 1960. A house in Laval was like $50,000. Yes, granted, was the interest rate 16%, 14%. Yes, but like you said, you have to go through these down cycles of paying a lot of debt down so that you make your money up on the back end. So if your time horizon for an investment is 5 years in real estate, you're not gonna make money. You need to be at least, and you need to be in real estate at least 10 years before you actually see actual money. Just for you to actually see money from your rental income, and that's because of your mortgage.
Except if you bought it
at a good price, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
16, 14, whatever.
you have to be really strategic, or if you're not strategic, you can't wait by, but your time horizon has to be at least 15 to 20 years before you actually are able to sit down and like look at your return on investments.
Yeah, and same thing goes to like entrepreneurship and your career. Like if you have like a quick buck in your head, I think a lot of people go into drop shipping thinking like, haha, I'm gonna be a millionaire, or they create a course or whatever you do in life. If you have a long time horizon, I think you are more likely to be successful. Not 100%, but you're a lot more likely to actually like yield the results. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. People who like think in terms of weeks and months, I've said this a million times, but like you are most likely to fail.
For sure.
Nothing is built in a week or a month. Nothing of true value is built in that short amount of time. But before we wrap up, I wanted to quickly talk to you about like land in the digital space. I wanted to know if you invest in that, and about crypto as well. Just your thoughts about crypto in general, because I remember we talked once about that. I wanted to see if you were still into it or you've taken a break from it. So
I'm still into it. I still DCA. What is DCA Wizard?
Dollar cost average.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, dollar cost averaging.
I'm like, what is the real term? I still do it. I like risk to a certain extent, and I got lucky with Bitcoin again. I met a guy 2016 in chemistry class, and he's like, bro, you gotta invest. So I put in $500, and then I started like seeing like crazy results till 2017. Bref. So I was lucky enough that the initial like investment wasn't that big, and then it grows. Crypto is interesting because it gives you multiple assets. You can invest in land, you can invest in NFT, you can invest in like DAOs, so like self-owned and it's
decentralized autonomous organizations.
Yeah, you can invest in a lot of things. And the best investment I've done so far are going to be like the usable NFTs. So there's something called Undead Zombies, and I was whitelisted. And how I invest is with proven systems that already worked in the past. So Undead Zombies is literally an NFT. Right now, I'm actually renting my guns. So people shoot, they make 30%, I make 70%. And the beauty about it is I thought of like it was still a lot of money at the it was 1 ETH, 0.5 ETH. It was a lot of money still. But like I'm like, killing zombie has been super popular. Making money while killing zombies is still very interesting. So crypto is very interesting, man. Again, Gary Vee's selling it, everybody's selling it. I think 97% of projects are scams. There's people that are going to work their asses off to make a project work, like anything. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity yet, because we're still early. If you have your eye on 2030 and you continue accumulating XRP or like AVAX or whatever coin you want to, like from micro to these big coins like Bitcoin, whatever you're accumulating, I personally think it's gonna be good. I personally think.
I just have a quick question, especially since we'll talk about the blockchain. And if once we're so early, I don't even think like 4% of the world has access to all this information. So once we get into maybe the early adopters, I'm curious to know your opinion on how blockchain will impact the realtor and how we're able to potentially put all our real estate information into a blockchain. Do you think at some point a realtor is going to be phased out, or do you think that there's still room for a realtor in the future once real estate and the implementation of NFTs and blockchain goes into like one system? I saw recently, maybe today, that there was a house that sold with NFT, and the chip or the token was actually the home, and the D was on the NFT. So I'm just curious to know your thoughts, or to see if it's actually something that.
I don't know. It's the only way it would be interesting is ultimately for investors if there's an ROI to it. So, for example, you buy the home or you buy some digital land and you can advertise on it. Like we're actually living in the metaverse and you can advertise on it and becomes monetizable. But I can't speak about it because I'm not an expert on that, or I don't know enough to talk about it. But I think it's very early and very risky. Like it's for sure an opportunity. Once you were talking about a transaction in the real world, or
in the real world.
Yeah,
no, in the real world.
100%, 100. It's already happening. Brokerage like Groupe Mackay, par exemple, are taking crypto.
Yeah, crypto.
Dude, in Playa, I was talking to the promoter because I invested in Doge, and I was like, oh, let me buy something using Doge. And they would accept those, but at a markup of like 20%. I would lose like 20%, but still, quite fucking amazingly, like people accept everywhere in the world accept crypto. And I think it's going to be a recurring thing that people are going to slowly start accepting crypto more. Also, your question was really heavy. So you talked about services as a broker, right?
Yeah, because essentially my point is that due to the speed of having information directly on blockchain,
yeah,
you technically don't have to have a broker post your picture on the MLS, etc. You could just directly put on the blockchain, and whoever wants to put a bid on it is going to do it.
Yeah,
so
but
you think
different. It's different.
Yeah, that's my question. How do you think that's going to shape going forward for like the realtor?
What I know is going to happen, because now we're around 16,000 brokers, and again, an opportunity, the definition of an opportunity is something that is like very small in time. You have an opportunity, boom. And people who joined, again, seeing the big picture, I'm going to be a broker, I'm going to be rich, are soon going to realize like this is hard, this is not an easy job, aren't going to kick out. So the only way people are going to grow in real estate, if you become better, if you join a team, and if already you're a top broker, because your repetition is there. If there's crypto, no crypto, whatever it is, if we start buying using glasses of water, like they're still going to go with the best realtor. So a lot of people are going to be kicked out. My idea is like, if there was 4,000 brokers, 5,000 brokers, it would make a lot more sense, because literally in the 16,000 brokers, roughly some of them don't make transaction throughout the year. Some of them, like the average broker makes 4 transactions. So 4% to 3% to 2% to 1% of the brokers make the rest of the transaction. So a lot of people are going to be kicked out. Whether blockchain, whether crypto, whether US dollar, whatever, the upcoming trend is a lot of people are going to be kicked out. Yeah. I don't know if I answer your question, to be frank. Like,
no, that was very difficult.
I wanted to get your thoughts on like the value of money, because you've spoken about how you want to live off the grid and stuff like that. So you seem to not be very materialistic. You don't really care about things like that. What do you think are the positives of living life that way? Like for you, why do you want to live your life in an off-grid, little possessions type of life?
I don't know. It's simpler. I think it's simpler, and ultimately we give the importance of things to the wrong things. There's something called La Pyramide de Maslow, which literally like it shows you the importance of whatever thing you give importance to. And the foundation of this pyramid is like, you need a shelter, you need food, you need a certain type of relationship with people. So as long as you have that, you're good. Like you're a decent mindset human. Afterward, like comes the money, the status, the look, the ego. Like the reason I want to do that ultimately is because of I'm going to be good. If I think like the biggest mafia in the world is not the cartel, is not like these people. I think it's the one taking our taxes at the end of the day. I think it's the biggest mafia of the world. They poison our like the more you research into this rabbit hole, the worse it gets. So I stopped. But like the ultimate reason is to protect myself, to protect my family, to protect the future that I have in this world, or at least the perceived future that I have. Because ultimately, one of the criteria that I was giving is I need healthy soil that was not contaminated by Baker, aka Monsanto, some healthy food, some water. After that, like as a human, you don't need more. Yes, you can go and get luxuries, but it begs to differ. Like, why? What is the hole you're trying to fulfill? Like, I personally bought a car once I came back from Asia. I bought a car, Micra 2019. It's the cheapest car in the market. It has an écran tactile because you have to now with the caméra de recul, but the windows are manual. So that's it's like I'm still getting all the tasks done, the A to B like drive that I need. And do I feel better driving that? Do I feel worse? No, it fulfills a task. So ultimately, I think I do it for my safety. I do it for my family. I'll do it for like the health of whatever like is my future. Because like the only thing you wish for once you're sick is health. It's not I wish I had millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like,
did you think also? I want to take it back to one point you said like you started making a lot of money out of school when you finished school, and I got the sense that you were, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you're like afraid of it, or you not afraid of it, but maybe it didn't fulfill you, like making a lot of money in the sense that you thought it would. Like, talk a bit about that, because I've also experienced where it was at certain points like making more money than I ever have and not feeling the best anyway. So
yeah, well, it doesn't matter. Like you can take an example, anyone that's making billions of dollars, 10 times more than me, 50 million times more than me, and ultimately happiness comes from within. It doesn't come from material. And I've had to go to spending a lot. Dude, I had 3 motorcycles and 1 brand new car. Like I was balling. Like I was building a motorcycle. I was having fun, you know, with my money. I was traveling, all these things, and ultimately, like now I own my micro. My stuff, my condo is almost fully paid. I don't want stress, bro. Like you don't. Like money will only solve money issues. This is a saying from Alex Ramosi. Ultimately, like if you have $1 in your bank account, you might be stressed financially. But once you have $1 million in your bank account, things that stress you are not the same. It's going to be more mental set. Yeah. So again, like I can ask you more questions, but we're on a podcast, like what made you feel this way and stuff like that. But like, it comes down to looking within and seeing like what is not fulfilling you. Like, are you looking for more, or is it the anticipation of getting all that money, and once you have it, it's like, oh fuck, it's not that great. Same thing goes to marriage. Same thing goes to having a kid. Oh, once I'll be married, I'll be happy, but that ain't true. Like,
no, that's fire. Yeah. And finally, we have to ask this question. We decided we were going to ask it to every single guest that was coming on.
Right, you know he's going to take the money, bro.
Yeah, no, you don't know yet. Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Have you ever heard of the Jay-Z question?
$500,000
yeah.
for dinner with Jay-Z?
Yeah, yeah. Which one would you go for?
And why?
I don't know. Like, if you would change Jay-Z to somebody else, because Jay-Z doesn't make like my vibe. I don't know, bro.
Is there someone that you would choose over having 500K?
Yeah, who's that Jay-Z for you?
For sure.
Who and why?
Now I have to think about someone. I would love Elon Musk, bro, but that would be like $10 million. But Yeah, I'll go with Jay-Z. I'll go with Jay-Z.
Okay.
Like because ultimately, if I'm pretty like I'm a good speaker, and if ever I get like he likes me, we build that rapport. I think that $500,000 is gonna become like a lot more. Like one good connection, bro. One connection.
Thank you.
You're set for life. Like I can't emphasize this enough, bro. Like my client that I'm coaching is paying me tens of thousands of dollars. She's referring me clients, and then she's setting me up in like crazy spots. One person within a few months is gonna generate me more than like $100,000. So I'm like, fuck, Jay-Z? That's millions of dollars, man. Like it's millions of dollars.
I think that's the
You
best
see a
answer
lot.
we've had yet.
Yeah, for sure. But so you see a
Yeah.
lot of value in the connections and like building, like
Yeah,
networking with other people.
that's it. Because we tend to see like the very short term. And again, it's in hopes I get the connection. It might be like, all right, man, see you soon. Okay, bro. Yeah. You know. So
Yeah,
that's
that was
that.
actually a really good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with this. So I think we'll wrap it up. Do you guys have any more questions for Bob?
No, it was very, very insightful.
Yeah.
Episode. We'll talk.
Bob, any final words for the people that will be watching pod?
Yeah, where can they find you?
We're at Bob_ the coach, and on LinkedIn would be Bahjat Bob Halabi, but Instagram would be, I think your following is more on Instagram. So at Bob_ the coach. Yeah.
Yeah, links will be in the description as usual. And thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Untoldgems podcast. And we'll see you next week.
Appreciate you all. Have a great one. Ciao, ciao. Est-ce qu'on livre là? Stop.